Hi everybody, this is Patrick from Sasquatch in the Wild. So this is now part 3 to this. My videos I've discovered I'm rushing a lot, and I don't want to rush a lot in my videos. So I'm going to slow them down a little bit and show more footage, because that's what people really want to see, is things that are happening in the outside. So I'm going to have photographs and stuff that's talking about this event. This is the day or the night before Junior shows up. That'll be in the next video because this is the precursor to it. So we go and we do our basic preps real quick, and I stop off and I get 2 bags of cookies. One bag is full of chocolate chip cookies. One bag is full of oatmeal cookies. These play a part in this. I bring up almonds, and cranberries are soaked in orange juice, and I found those at Sprouts if you're curious to try them. They're actually not too bad. And then I grabbed a bunch of other little duty things, probably like donuts and things. I think I brought all that stuff with me. I didn't have to bring a tent. Mike's brought out his outfitter tent, and I brought out a tarp. We drive to this location. It takes quite a while to get there. Thankfully, there was nobody on site. There was nobody around. Nobody. The entire weekend, nobody was there, which was great. We go out to we drive past the first campsite. Again, nobody there. We go over to the second campsite, nobody there. Now, there's 3 elevations going on. When you get to the first campsite, you kind of drop down, but you're going back up again. And so you're a little higher than the road that's you're or behind, I guess. And then you go to the campsite that we were at, and you're higher again. So at our elevation to the first campsite is about a 3 to 4 foot drop off. To the road from that campsite down, it's about another 1 to 2 feet drop off. We set up Mike's big outfitter's tent. Trenton and Mike are on one side of the tent. I'm on the other. And there's a table dividing between Mike and I. And then there's a table at my feet. Trenton has his chair in there when we eventually go to bed, but that'll be on the next video. We set out the chairs outside at first, and there's 2 trees at a higher elevation, and I put up my hammock in between it. And Trenton used that, I used that, and I try to get other entities to get in the thing and try it out, but I don't know quite if they've tried it yet or not. I know they play with it, but that's about the extent of it. So I park my car across the way, and whenever I go Bigfooting, I make sure if I wash my car, I do it before I go, because I want all the dust to get onto the vehicles in question, because Sasquatch likes to put their hands on things. And the best way to find a handprint on a car is if your car is dirty, because when they pull off, that imprint is still sitting on the car. It's a sneaky way of doing things. So I park the car. Mike parks near his tent. I'm away from the tent. I'm parked over by a bunch of trees. So we decide that we're going to go down into the valley and drop off like a gift, like kind of a gifting thing. Now, if you're going to gift food, try not to gift exotic foods and hot peppery things, because they may not like hot peppery things. We find that out on this trip, that they don't like spice. That's just too hot. We think it may make their stomach a little gurgly, and it may not be good. But we learned something really quick, and if you're going to feed them cookies, you better hope there's not a junior nearby. Because we had a very hyper junior come to our campsite that night. But so we go down and we drop off the stuff. Now I find a log that's about 4 or 5 feet long. It's about that wide. It's probably about maybe 8 to 10 inches wide. And there was like a kind of a groove dug out of it, like something was digging in it. On either side of that log, there were like these areas where feet have been kind of rubbing in the dirt. And because those areas are, it's like it's all bald. There's nothing there. No grass is growing in there. No weeds are growing in there. So I put my nuts, uh, my nuts and the cranberries inside that groove, and then I put cookies on either side. So I put like two cookies, 2 chocolate chips on one side, and 2 oatmeals on the other. I took a picture of it, and then I put one more out. So I actually gave out 6 cookies. Mike put strawberries into a bowl, walked over to that tree that had fallen, and it had that weird woven bowl-like structure that we found, and he put the strawberries on top of that. We wandered around inside there, took pictures of different things, took pictures again against that area where I photographed Sasquatch, or actually my camera saw Sasquatch and I didn't see it at all. And all of us walked right in front of this thing. None of us saw it. None of us saw the thing. But the weird part was there was a second individual there, and it was next to the tree. And when you look at the tree now, or I'll show the picture, there's nothing. Like this guy was like, I think his arm was holding onto the tree, and he had his body up against it. And there's 4 of us, walked right in front of this thing. We didn't see it. And we were feet from this guy, did not see him because they were not making themselves known to us. They were sitting very quietly still while we ended up eating some of their raspberries. But this time it's just me, Mike, and Trenton. That's it. So Mike said, okay, let's go ahead and go back up. So we start walking up the hill that we came down from the valley and start heading up. And Trenton keeps walking on, and Mike says, wait, let's do something real quick. And I said, okay. And Mike yells out, ooh, yummy, yummy, food, food. And the entire right side of this hill starts coming alive. It sounds like a herd of elephants running down that hill. When it hits the bottom, you can see leaves blowing out. You can see debris. And I was sitting there going, oh my God, are you kidding me? And Mike was like, wow. And he goes, okay, let's get going. So he starts walking back up the hill. I turn around and I start walking up, and I decide I want to turn off and just kind of sit and listen. And that's what I did. Mike kept going up the hill, and I turned off and stopped. And he was still talking to me. And you could hear, as they were all running over, you could hear, they eat with their mouths open. They don't eat quietly. They're very loud. So Mike comes walking back and goes, Patrick, what are you doing? And I said, I'm listening to him eat. And he's like, oh, yeah. Come on, let's go. Let him eat in peace. I said, okay. So we both ended up walking all the way back. So I broke out it started getting dark, and we had food that night. Mike made brats like he usually does. And I broke out my night vision camera. Okay. So my night vision camera, I'm going to show the IR light here in a second. The IR light is this pinkish magenta looking light. The camera, which is this part of it, reacts to this light. And what I've noticed when I film Sasquatch is that they are attracted to this light. Like they follow it. And it's weird. The first couple times I used it, Mike had no problems with me using it. And then out of nowhere, it was an automatic, don't bring it, you can't bring it. They're afraid. No, they're not. There's nothing that says that the IR light scares them. In fact, if anything, I think the IR light attracts them. Now, with like trail cameras, I don't think that that's the same thing, because I think those IR lights are little tiny lights, and those only go off when something is walking through that area and then there's a flash. I think they see that flash, and that flash is not necessarily what you want to see, especially when you're in the woods walking around in the dark, or if there's a storm going on, because a flash in the woods would symbolize lightning, a lightning strike, without the sound of boom attached to it. And it wouldn't surprise me if there was maybe a Sasquatch that was struck by lightning, because those guys are roaming around all the time anyway, and if they're sitting by a tree, which I've seen, they could be struck by lightning. I mean, what stops that from happening? But when I was filming with this, everywhere I was panning, I was seeing eyes following or appearing where I was now filming. Like here, the eyes would like come out, like they would look and they would turn and then walk away. Or they'd be looking like this and then they would turn and look right at the light. So there's clearly some connection with an eye or light and Sasquatch. So I filmed them. I got eye shine, some really interesting eye shine shots with this. And there's one clip that I cannot figure out what this is. I cannot. I have stopped. I've videotaped it with my cell phone. I went back slowly, frame to frame, and looked at this thing, and it looks like there's like, if this is a tree, something kind of goes whoop like this. Like it looks out for a second and turns its head, it's gone. And it's crazy. So I'm putting that into this piece, and I caught that with this night vision camera. But you're going to see a series of lights. And the first clip you're going to see is 3 lights. And the first light, I think, is just a star. The second light, it's either a house. It could be a Sasquatch. But I was thinking it's probably a house or a car. But there's a tiny little, almost like a pin light right next to it. And if that's a junior or like a small juvenile Sasquatch, that could be its eye glowing. And it's just really faint. On the flip side, the light that's down here closest to the ground, which is across from us, estimated height on that individual would be about 10 foot tall because of the elevation. And that guy is like straight across. I was looking like this, right across, right at him. And I was filming him. So I'm going to guess he was about 9 to 10 feet in height. And he was looking straight back at us before he turned his head and walked off. I had another video, and I don't know where it is, but you see a guy coming out, turns, looks, and then turns around and walks back out. And it reminded me of a Muppet Show. So I was like, I was laughing my butt off when I saw that. And now I don't know where it's at. It could be on my main machine, or I could have burnt it to a disk and deleted it off of other sites. So I have no idea. But I'm cutting this now. Oh no, I have to talk about one more thing. So on Mike's tent, his zipper broke, and so we had to put up my tarp. On one side of the tarp, it was brown. On the other side of the tarp, it was, I think, blue. And we strung this thing up. And so we had the blue side facing us and the brown side facing out. And that will be played. I'll talk about that later on. But I'm going to go to those video clips, and then we'll go from there. My name is Patrick. This is Sasquatch in the Wild. I think I covered just about everything. The next video will show, or I'll talk about Junior and what Junior does to us. Because if you don't know what sugar does to children, ask your parents. Ask them what it was like the first time you had way too much sugar and how you reacted. Because that's what Junior did to us. And it was like the parent brought Junior up to us to have us deal with the situation because they didn't want to deal with the kid no more. So my name is Patrick. This is Sasquatch in the Wild. I hope you're enjoying the journey.